Okay, post-fight reaction to Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter takes it by unanimous decisions by margins of 116-112 on one card and 115-113 on the other two cards. So first off, if you can explain to the folks at home, how did you predict it coming in, and how did you score it, or roughly speaking, how did you score it?
Coming in, it kind of went the way that we would expect unless Danny Garcia somehow landed, a big shot. And that's the only way I was thinking that he would come out of the fight. Porter just did his usual kind of grinding. He surprised me a little bit with managing distance and the way he seemed to improve a little bit and fight a little bit differently than I've seen him fight in other matches. But I don't know what were your kind of impressions.
How did you see the outcome? Were you surprised by the decision? Was that about right?
I think the decision was right. I was surprised because I feel like the crowd is very much DSG house, and I don't know if that comes across on TV, but when they show various fighters, you get like they're booing AB, other fighters get cheers.
They kept showing Spence over and over again. He kept getting cheered. They kept showing Thurman. It'll be interesting to see what they were doing on the broadcast with that, because they kept doing the same shots. But
same shot. So I don't know if those were just pandering to the crowd here, or if they're actually showing up on the network broadcast. So our viewers can fill us in on that. But it was just interesting to actually. I feel like it was a fair decision. I don't think anybody really got robbed. But I was worried that might happen tonight because, Porter's not the favorite here.
Yeah, totally. I mean, to speak to what you're saying, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, they said, Jimmy Lennon Jr., the first thing he said was, "We have a unanimous decision." And the crowd cheered. And like you said, all night it had been a very pro-Danny Garcia crowd. When he was doing well, they were cheering him, and when he wasn't doing well, they were cheering him, to urge him on to do better. So it was kind of interesting. They cheered the unanimous decision thinking he had gotten it. But then I feel like they were okay when Porter won. I mean, I didn't hear a single boo, and it was just seemed like a positive outcome. I mean, I think everyone was recognized it was a really good fight. Yes. Early reactions online, I'd say, are very positive. I mean, I thought round 10 in particular was round of the year candidate at least, if not a fight of the year candidate overall. So I had coming in, I had predicted Porter to win. And generally what I said was, Porter can be very unorthodox. He's a challenge that Garcia is going to have to live with. And I didn't get into this in my prediction, but the other side of that as well is Garcia is kind of a natural counterpuncher. And there were big stretches of the Keith Thurman fight in particular where he wasn't throwing that many punches. And if you looked at the scorecards in that fight, Keith really ticked off some of those rounds just by throwing more.
Yes, volume.
And I think, a lot of this fight played out that way, that Garcia was able to be effectively aggressive, or Porter was able to be effectively aggressive in unorthodox ways. I mean, he really changed the angle he was throwing punches, the angle he was coming in, vertically, the angle that he was coming in, radially around Garcia. It was very interesting to see him do that. I mean, by and large, he did box more so than just being, aggressively brawling. And when he was boxing, again, he found spots where he could land his punches. Also, again, to the point, and I think that's what you saw, especially that 1-8-4 scorecard that was so wide for Porter. Throughout the whole fight, he was being more aggressive.
Yes.
I mean, I think, we didn't have access to the punch stats, just being in the building here, but my guess is that Porter out-threw Garcia through significant stretches of the fight, probably outlanded him as well. Flip side of that, so my scorecard here, I scored it for Garcia because I consistently favored his cleaner counterpunching. I thought out of the, say, 20 or 30 hardest punches landed, most of those were Garcia counterpunches. So, I had Porter. I could totally see why people won rounds. I kind of had a similar reaction as I think the crowd here. When I heard unanimous decision, I thought, okay, that's going to be Danny Garcia. But when I went for Porter, I said, actually, I'm pretty happy for him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on the fight, or do you want to get into the Errol Spence thing that happened afterwards?
No, you pretty much covered it. I do agree with you that as far as accuracy and being more effective, having cleaner, effective punches, that's all Garcia.
Right,
But I
right.
want to see some volume. I know you're not really supposed to judge off of that, but I feel like if in both fights, if the Thurman fight and this fight, if he could up the volume, and he even said it, or I feel like him and his dad kind of insinuated that he kept being asked, like at the media workout and different things, like how are you going to handle the pressure, and then they kind of tongue-in-cheek were, how do you know we won't bring pressure? So I thought, oh, maybe you might see some front foot DSG, but I didn't get to see much of that.
Yeah, I'll just respond to that quickly before we move on. But I thought it was really interesting. I thought Garcia did seem to be, to some extent, surprised by what Porter brought. There were big stretches of the fight where Porter hung back and let the flow of the fight be for Garcia to come forward, and he did not seem to be able to do that effectively. He seemed to want to counterpunch. And when he could, he, was able to frequently land those heavy counter shots. But that was very interesting. There were those moments where it wasn't the most exciting stretches of the fight, but where Porter, again, was able to hang back and Garcia just was not able to come in well. I thought by about, I think the 8th round is when it swung back on my card, back in favor of Garcia. So just a quick rundown. The early rounds for Garcia, I thought he was able to land some good counter shots. By the 4th round, I had it go in Porter's favor for the next 4 rounds, where I felt that his game plan was working and he had kind of, focused in on what he needed to do. Swung it back for Garcia when it seemed like Garcia was adjusting and he was starting to land those big counter shots again. And then the last few rounds I had close, but like I said, on my card it was narrow for Garcia, but totally don't disagree with the official outcome. So when the fight ended, I don't know, did you get to hear Errol Spence's call out over the loudspeakers?
Yeah, I got to hear it. It was a little bit, I guess, not so surprising. There are a lot of folks in town for what was that announcement? There were a ton of fighters here.
Right, the big PBC, their new deals with Showtime and Fox. Yeah, tonight seemed like a little bit of a victory lap, like a lot of PBC fighters in the building.
Yeah, tons of fighters.
Yeah.
You could see Sunday Puncher, all of our coverage, we were I tried to take shots of them joking around.
Well, yeah, Mr.
crowd,
Photographer here. Yeah, I'll look forward. Some of that I didn't get to catch up with, but I'll look forward to afterwards. And you all should as well on our Instagram and Twitter. Yeah,
it's DeBella goofing around with Javonta and Errol Spence and whatnot in the back. So I totally didn't. I didn't see it coming that he was going to hop in the ring. I thought, okay, there's just a ton of people. Fighters here, for that particular announcement, that none of them are going to try to steal any shine tonight. So
right.
it was very surprising that Errol got in the ring and he wanted to get it on, and he said next, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go back and watch it, but it sounded like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was interested for a few reasons. One of the ongoing sort of funny bits of this whole promotion is Jim Gray has been really salty that Shawn Porter called out Danny Garcia after his last fight.
Yeah, by jumping in the ring.
That's come up during a lot of the promotional elements of like Jim Gray kind of looking for contrition from Shawn Porter about that. And, it's just sort of silly. But so, yeah, I did kind of wonder if Spence would get in. Also, they've been trying to play up the Spence Mikey Garcia thing.
Yes.
And it wasn't necessarily clear if Shawn Porter would want the fight. Like, I had thought they were going to sell that more this week, that, winner gets Errol Spence, kind of make it a bigger part of the promotion. Sometimes they do that, but they really didn't. They stayed on message. They sold just this fight. I don't have the attendance numbers, but it seemed like a really good crowd. So, they just tried to push this one fight. And it was a welcome surprise to me. I mean, the sound bite I think that came out of it was Porter saying this will be the easiest fight to make. I want the fight, and Errol having the most polite call out of all time, where I think he said, "I love your dad, but I want to fight you next." And so that was pretty fun. So I mean, the crowd definitely loved it. I mean, we joked about that Thurman has seemed to become a bit of a heel. That by backing away from the sport, surprising the crowd, really not cheering him. And really cheering Spence instead. There were a number of stark moments where they would show, Thurman on camera.
Yeah, they were sitting right next to each other.
Spence. Yeah, very, very funny. So, fun to look forward to. Apparently, there are going to be more fights at the Barclays Center next year than there have been in recent years. I mean, even more. There are a lot of fights here normally, but a new official home of the PBC on the East Coast, or at least official. Because, again, we were joking. I mean, how much is it even going to change? Like, they kind of do all their fights here anyway, but... hopefully that winds up here. I'll be looking forward to it. Any final thoughts? Anything about the undercard fights?
Yeah, no, the undercards were good. I guess just quick hits. The Serrano, I'm pretty sure. I think that was probably like the YouTube stream fight.
Yeah. So folks at home are able to see that.
Yeah. So Amanda Serrano,
excellent.
yeah, it was a crazy fight. Seeing the media workout, I didn't think her opponent was really going to bring it. She didn't look too impressive.
She did not look very intimidating, I must say. She
Yeah.
really just looked like, I mean, there's nothing I can say that won't sound misogynistic.
Yeah.
Just like, she didn't even look athletic. I mean, I was going to say she looks like a random girl from a spin class, but not even. I mean,
Yeah,
she didn't even
yeah.
look like super fit in any way.
Yeah,
But
she brought it. Like she
Yeah.
definitely brought it. So hopefully that came across, and hopefully we can get a little bit more attention on some women's boxing. So that was good. The
was
Ugas
great.
fight was he was just technically sound. It
I
wasn't
think
very
victim of his
exciting.
own success in
Yeah.
some ways. Like, he kind of took over, and then his opponent was not engaging really effectively.
Yeah, opponent got hit with some big shots, and then decided to get on his bike a little bit,
Yeah.
and didn't really want to engage. And another case of where somebody's not really a front foot fighter, so that he was trying to make the fight. So kind of sat through that. The Konaski, and I apologize to all Polish people. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the Konaski fight was really good.
Sloppy slugfest.
Yeah, it was super sloppy. Konaski had Martin out on his feet, I felt, at a certain point in time. It didn't do enough for me to propel him into like kind of the heavyweight title picture.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
he definitely has consideration for maybe being like a B-side and maybe get served up to somebody. But he's still young and he still has time to grow. So I think this was definitely a step up fight and a good challenge for him. So what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, just my quick hits in response. I mean, Amanda Serrano, I've said this many times, she's my number one female pound for pound. She's won titles now from 118 up to 140. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, she's by far the most decorated female fighter currently fighting. Again, tonight she won a title at 140. Her best weight is 130, but she just moves around this much in order to get fights. So very commendable for her. I mean, so many female fighters struggle to get good fights. So, with that range, going forward, she's been fighting for 9 years, but she's really coming into her prime. I think she's like 29 now, and she's reached sort of her peak level of prominence, and it's right as there's a little bit of a resurgence or a little bit of a surge in the popularity of women's boxing. So Katie Taylor fights at 135. Michaela Mayer fights at 130. Either of those would be great fights. I don't think that Top Rank or Matchroom, respectively, are going to want to pair either of them with Amanda Serrano, which is kind of unfortunate. Amanda Serrano's sister, who, just being blunt, is not as good, is fighting Katie Taylor. And I sort of feel that, I can just hear Eddie Hearn saying, Katie Taylor beat Serrano, not specifying which one, and then just claiming, pound for pound greatness for Katie Taylor. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Serrano does get a chance. Did you have something to say about that?
No. I like all those players. I don't know if it'd be easier to make like I forget what Hardy fights at, Heather Hardy or
Heather Hardy could be possible if they did that. I mean, Heather Hardy I think fights at featherweight, which again is in the range of where Amanda Serrano fights.
Yeah, because I feel like this might be what happened tonight a little bit with Serrano. I felt is that maybe she's at the top or the edge of where she can fight, because the opponent kind of was able to not walk through some of her stuff, but the power wasn't there like it was at lower weights. So
totally,
I feel if she moved down, that might serve her better. But she still looked impressive. So maybe she could make fights with some local. We have some local women boxers here that are.
Yeah, I didn't mean to leave out Heather Hardy. I mean, that could be good as well. I feel like to some extent they're kind of, I don't know. Maybe that would be a good fight. We'll see. Yeah, Heather Hardy fighting Shelley Vincent on the Dan Jacobs undercard. We're both looking forward to that. We're both planning to go to that one, so that should be good. Next fight in the card, the Adam, Konashki, Kognowski. I've heard a lot of Kognowski. A lot of different pronunciations of his name. Adam Konaki is the most phonetic way to pronounce it in English, based on the way that it's written. Very sloppy. I actually scored Konaki sweeping the fight, which was not received very popularly on Reddit, which is kind of funny. To me it was a classic example of competitive fight, but I just kept swinging every round for Konaki. To me, he just kept doing the better work. Ugas fight. I feel bad for Ugas kind of because he now, I didn't realize this, but apparently this is a WBC eliminator, I
Eliminator,
believe.
yep.
Yeah, which is strange because I think that he's already spent his mandatory in the IBF, so he's probably going to get to fight someone eventually. I think he definitely showed talent tonight. And this was a case where he was clearly better, landed brilliant body shots early on, and his opponent just went into full-on evasion mode. I mean, even when he was throwing punches, he was kind of throwing punches just to stymie Ugas's offense.
Yeah.
And it was the thing where Ugas was clearly better, but not better enough to then just produce a knockout out of that. If a fighter just completely disengages, goes into full-on defense mode, there's not a lot you can do unless, again, you're so much better that you can take the guy out.
Yeah.
And really, again, that's not really Ugas' style. I mean, I kept rooting for him to kind of do a better job of cutting off the ring, but again, it was a thing where he was better, but not better enough that he could pull that out.
Yeah.
So, I think he showed a lot of talent. I'd definitely like to see him in with a guy who would engage more. And so I think any final thoughts on the undercard, or otherwise, definitely interested to hear your thoughts on where Danny Garcia goes from here.
Yeah, Danny Garcia. So Porter possibly to unification with Spence as they pushed here, or maybe he can do a defense if the Spence thing doesn't fall through. And I'm trying to think of names
the
of
Mikey
people.
Garcia thing's kind of a wild card. Like I'll sort of want to go back and still might. We'll see if they have a post-fight press conference after this because. There might be some more information about that. But yeah, it's the Mikey Garcia's. Anyway, hard to say when the Porter-Spence fight would actually happen.
Yeah, hard to say when that would happen or what Porter does from here. But it's great, got the title, well-deserved, long time coming for him. So that's awesome. DSG, it's two kind of rough ones as far as the big fights that matter. I know he took Rios and whatnot to get back, but he versus Thurman and now versus Porter has failed to maintain or regain the belts. I didn't see much fire from him. Of course, he just lost, so give everybody at least 24 hours to kind of lick their wounds and see. We'll see what we see from him, see if there's any fire. So I don't know where he goes from now, but he's definitely super popular. They need fight dates, so anytime he wants to fight, anytime he's ready, he'll, the crowd will be here waiting. So I with him, I'm expecting kind of like a tomato can get back fight or whatever to get him a win, and then maybe he'll hop back in and try for another belt or something like that. Or do you think he might move down?
Oh no, I can't imagine that.
No, 140. Okay.
I mean, I think. Look, we both saw what we saw tonight, which was there was a great crowd here. A huge portion of them were here for Garcia.
Yeah.
They didn't, his fans didn't seem to take anything away from him in defeat tonight. They still were cheering for him at the end, very happy for him. So with the PBC having so many more fight dates, I think we'll definitely see him back. I think he fits into the 147-pound picture. And I mean, even again, imagine Keith Thurman rematch could be in the cards down the road. Shawn Porter rematch could be in the cards down the road. He's still totally in the picture to fight Errol Spence at some point in what would be a very big fight. And, probably won't happen because of the Cold War in boxing, but he could fight. I mean, Terrence Crawford is fighting Jose Benavidez, who's number 27 or something at welterweight. Garcia's still probably, I think coming in, everyone has probably Thurman, Crawford, and Spence as 1, 2, and 3 at 147 in, different arrangements possibly, and Garcia and Porter at 4 and 5. Okay, so Porter's now probably 4, and Garcia's now probably 5. Still basically the same place he was. He scored that devastating knockout against Brandon Rios. I think he's shown that when you drop the level a little bit, he can, put on a show.
Yes.
So I think we could definitely see him fight Victor Ortiz.
Khan rematch.
Yeah, Khan rematch. Khan, we don't really need to get into that, but Khan got knocked down tonight. Did not look great. And Samuel Vargas. The Khan fight is there. Matchroom probably won't make that because, again, divides in the sport. But, there are a lot of appealing fights for him. I can definitely see him getting a fight with Andre Berto, trying to knock him out, Devin Alexander trying to get a knock. It's like there's some intrigue there. And he kind of gets a pass because he's coming off a loss. So, I think he, in particular, I feel like it doesn't diminish him that much. It's to some extent a controversial decision. I don't think people necessarily protest it, but not controversial, just it's within the realm of possibility that could have gone for him.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, any final thoughts? I mean, I thought overall very fun night of boxing, although some of the prelims dragged a bit. But I'm very, very happy with the night overall.
Yeah, no, great night of boxing. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I saw positive feedback about the streams and whatnot. Lots of texts about from, not hardcores, just casual boxing fans were tuning in and watching. So hopefully that came across. But yeah, no, it was good.
Fun. I think the main event, really carried the night after some of the fights for a little bit. So really, really enjoyed the main event. I mean, I just think that 10th round was just amazing. The whole place was on their feet. I mean, really fun fight.
Yeah, round of the year, maybe.
Yeah, so, I think we're good. See you guys. Signing off till next time.
Okay, as the lights come on behind us.
Yeah, we're kind of getting kicked out here. So see you guys.
All right, see you.